Practicing celibacy for 365 days has been everything that I thought it would be. The good was completely worth it. And as of right now, I am also practicing celibacy because of all of the great things that I experienced during my year. I, full honesty, am very nervous right now recording this. And this is a hard subject that we're getting into today. So, trigger warning in advance. There's going to be great things for me to share about celibacy for sure. And I received a lot of greatness. But intertwined with that, I have something I wanted to speak out on. So, for starters, I just wanted to say, or get that out the way, that I am feeling a little nervous right now. And if my energy feels off, that's why. For those that know, or for those that don't know, I posted a video over a year ago now titled something along the lines of like going celibate for 365 days as a rapper. And I, in the video, was basically like, it was like me at like day 12 of like, I really want to do this right now. I'm not really feeling that many benefits, but I have a feeling this is going to do me great things in life. And in the video, I also said, I'm going to be doing updates along the way of what 4 weeks is like and what 6 months is like and 90 days and, update you guys along the way. And as you guys can see, if you look through my videos, I did not update you guys along the way. That was not intentional. Little callback moment, I started my celibacy journey as a humongous form of like advocating for myself. I was going through a really rough breakup that was a very long and lovely relationship of 3 years roughly, and it ended on very, very dark and bad and fucked up terms, where I was basically done extremely fucking foul, like real shit. And I knew that because of how fucked the situation of my breakup was, me being me, I was very vulnerable and susceptible to go do a bunch of substance abuse, sex addiction, and completely run my life to hell to try to cope with feeling hurt in the way that I was hurt. So, in a way to honor myself, I vowed to a year of celibacy. And I said, it's not just about like the whole sex addiction thing. Me being celibate for a year, I intended to keep me away from a lot of other things. Because usually that's how abstinence for me at least works. Is when I stop something like sex addiction, when I stop something like that and I put a halt to that, I usually don't have motivations to go fucking abuse substances. I usually don't have motivations to go want to fuck my life up. You know what I mean? Because it's already such a great thing to stop involving in the sexual world. So, one thing I will say is, because I wanted to summarize my benefits, because there was a lot of great things I felt. But in short, me doing the celibacy journey has genuinely matured me like nothing I ever expected. Ever. I did a year of celibacy before when I was around 17. And you would know if you watched the last video. But just to kind of refresh, or for people that don't know, I did the celibacy journey before when I was 17. I'm currently 22 years old right now. The first time around, I already experienced a lot of great things, but it was very flawed because I was still involving myself sexually with a lot of people. I was still sleeping around. I didn't have sex, but I was doing basically everything else during this celibacy journey of when I was 17. But even with that, I received a lot of great benefit. With this celibacy journey, it was in my full intention to fully not do anything. I wanted to receive the benefits that I did from when I was 17, but amp that bitch to the max, and just go full cold turkey, go as hard as I can. One of the greatest benefits that I received was, again, that maturity. It feels like I really grew the fuck up, but also tapped into my youth. If you look back at the last video I made regarding this topic, I felt aged. I felt existential in being at the time, I think I was 20 or freshly 21. I was either late 20 or freshly 21, yeah. And I was experiencing this existential, like, fuck, bro, I'm old as shit. And it reeked off me. I was not in touch with the youth that is your 20s. You know what I mean? And now I feel like I have that, even though I feel as though I've matured greatly in mind, in body, and in personality, and in spirit. I feel as though I've re-tapped back into youth and, like, being the young fucking handsome ass nigga I am right now as a 22-year-old. It's been very refreshing. It's been very beautiful. Doing the 365 days of celibacy has brought me so fucking close to my inner child. And the inner or the inner children of the world, in a way. And I'll explain that before niggas start, like, trying to twist it into something weird. I was actively in therapy when I was first starting my celibacy journey. And one of the things that my therapist would recommend or advise me to do was to basically imagine myself as younger Moses in situations where I'm feeling urges to go do something that doesn't align with my core values. It doesn't have to just be the sex addiction stuff. It could be anything. It could be substance abuse. It could be manipulation. It could be, just anything. It could be lying. It could be cheating. It could be scamming, whatever. I was told, and it worked very well for me, to imagine younger Moses. And what's happened as a natural, way for me to try to make this celibacy journey easier was I did that a lot. And now I've formulated the habit of always considering younger Moses and always considering my inner child in every situation. I don't go out and objectify people or do fucked up things or do evil things, because I've trained my brain to always consider, what the fuck would younger Moses think about this? Would younger Moses be proud of me doing that bullshit? Probably not. Now, when I say it also allowed me to consider the inner children of the world, one of the things that really helped me greatly and that I'm very appreciative of that I've gained in this journey is every time I see any human being. At first it started off with just women, because of course I was trying to heal from sex addiction and masturbation addiction and porn addiction. So it started off with women. I'll just start it there. I was informed and suggested by my therapist that in times where I'm thinking of these thoughts and I'm undressing a woman, let's say, in my brain, or I'm thinking these lustful things about a woman that don't align with my core values of wanting to be a fucking sweetie patootie, imagine them, consider their inner child. So it's less, when I say that, sometimes people will be like, what the fuck? Why the fuck would you fucking think of, that's fucking weird. I don't give a fuck, bro. This is vulnerable, and this helped me so fucking much. It's not imagining them as a child. It is considering their inner child. So in a situation where I would be tempted to mentally undress a beautiful woman that was in front of me, or sexualize them or objectify them and try to, shoot some kind of game to get them home and crack buns. In a situation where I would usually do that, I would consider, wait, hold on, Moses. What would the younger them respond to this situation with right now? What is at stake of me potentially harming the younger version of them? Because that's all every human being is. We are all just aged versions of our younger selves, of our inner children, of our inner childs, whatever. So it really helped me a lot. And it started off with women, and it progressed into now that's how I view everyone. I don't want to lie to anyone. I don't want to talk down on anyone. I don't want to spread hatred upon anyone. I don't want to enact rage upon anyone because my brain is now trained to be like, imagine this person like swinging on a swing set when they were younger, having the fucking time of their lives. What would they respond to this situation with right now if I were to spread hatred upon them, or hurt them, or be rude to them, or lie to them, or scam them, or cheat them, or objectify them, or use them in any way? How evil would it be for me to do that to a child? How does it make it any different doing that to an adult? Because adults, in my eyes, are just aged versions of what once was an inner, like a child, bruv. Like, we are all just existing through a lot of the same mental framework that we operated in as children. We've just been here longer now, and that's all like being an adult is in my eyes. And that is one of the greatest benefits that I've received from practicing celibacy. I appreciate the fact that it allows me to view everyone through the lens of their inner child. And it's allowed me to treat everyone so loving and so caring, and I'm so honest, and not to toot my own fucking horn, but I feel like I'm really kind now in a way that I never was before. Someone could literally be evil, pure evil, definition of what we would consider as society like pure evil, and I will always lend my hand to them in a loving way. Obviously, not lend my hand to them, but I will always honor them through the lens of love. If people do bad things, obviously they deserve some kind of punishment or some kind of disciplinary action, but I no longer cast hatred upon those people. It's not my responsibility. I'm gonna leave that shit up to God. Okay, all I can do to align with what align with my core values is, like my tattoo says, move through love and step forward with love in my heart. And doing celibacy has taught me that, is how to treat every interaction with the greatest love in my heart that I possibly can. It also gave me a lot of confidence. If you look at who I was from a year from now, it's about 13 months. I'm not exactly at that year mark. I'm a little past that because I've been procrastinating making this video because of the deep subject matter. But if you look at who I was before, I feel miles more confident than I ever have been. I feel so much unconditional, unbounded self-love for myself, in a way that I've never felt before. I really, really advocate for myself now. I really, really comfort myself now. In moments that I feel insecure or scared or sick or sad or angry or mad, like whatever, I have gained this sense of self-love that I'm not perfect, of course, but I've found a way to really, really, really show up for myself. And in me showing up for myself so strongly and so passionately, it's allowed me to be as confident as I am now and as secure within myself as I am now. Again, I'm not perfect, but if you compare it to who I was before, holy shit, I see the difference. I don't give a fuck if anyone else doesn't see the difference. I see a crazy, crazy, crazy raised difference, and I'm grateful for that. I'm trying to think of any other of the summarized benefits of my celibate journey. Everything that anyone says would be a benefit of the celibacy journey, I felt that. Just know. It's just so many of them that I don't want to spend too much time on it because there's a deeper topic that I really wanted to get into today. I don't know. I was a very, very hard sex addict, porn addict, masturbation addict, and it made it to where I had this extreme sense of guilt and shame looming over my psyche at all times. I felt suicidal. When I was in that, I self-harmed a lot, physically, emotionally. I hated myself doing those things. And it wasn't necessarily because I was an addict. It was because I was constantly proving to myself that I don't have control of myself. I don't have, you know what I mean? And that just led me to spiral. And I feel so much more like at home in my body because of the celibacy journey. And because of, I don't know, I take a lot of pride in myself. I feel very proud of who I am, with the background thought of just knowing, like, I'm moving with my core values of stepping forward with love and not engaging in lustful, evil shit. I don't look down on other people for doing that. But don't get it twisted. I just don't want to do that for myself. So it gives me this immense sense of pride that I have tackled that beast, if you will. I found that celibacy is very similar to fasting, and those two are some of the most powerful things that you could possibly do to gain a sense of self-love and self-advocacy and I don't know, it's one of the greatest acts of self-care that you could possibly do for yourself. Celibacy and fasting. And it's because as humans, we are biologically built to consume and reproduce. Eat, have sex, make babies. If you can abstain from something like eating, in a healthy way, obviously, like fasting for, let's say, I'm doing 7 days only water or 7 days only fruit juice, whatever. That is one of the greatest forms of self-love you could do for yourself. If you can abstain from sex and sexuality, not forever, not indefinitely, but if you were like, you know what, I'm not going to do any of that for a month, 6 months, a year, it kind of rewires. What I've learned that it did to me is it rewired my brain, because I did both fasting and celibacy. I didn't fast, obviously, the whole time I practiced celibacy, but what I'm trying to say is I found that in doing both of those, they're very similar in the way that it gives you this strong sense of pride of like, holy shit, if I now harbor control over these two things that are so integral to my biological instincts, what can I not do? If I want to go be the biggest star in the world, who's to say I can't do that? I literally know how to gain control of my two largest, most integral biological instincts. Of course I could fucking become a superstar. Of course I can make $1 million. Or of course I could be a great father. Of course I could, be a great partner. I'm just throwing shit out there. But yeah, if I could do those two things, what can I not do? That is one of the greatest things that I've gained through celibacy, is this pride in myself of, man, I could really do anything. Like, I could genuinely do anything I put my mind to. The fact that I've proved to myself that I can do the celibacy, knowing how OD addicted I was to lust and sex and masturbation and porn and the whole shit, right? Now, I'm going to get water for the next part. And this is the trigger warning part of the video. I'm getting my mason jar of water. This is the part of the video that I've been uncomfortable about, and that I get nervous about, and that I might get emotional about. Yeah. So, the worst thing that I noticed along my celibacy journey as a male, as a guy, is sorry guys, this is like very, very scary, real shit. A negative to my celibacy. I want to preface this by saying I don't regret practicing celibacy. And again, as a reminder, I continue to practice celibacy. But one of the downsides that I learned to doing this as a guy is frequently, not all, but I was presented with frequent situations in which, unfortunately, bad women, I'm not even going to say bad women, frequently, certain types of women did not take my celibacy serious in a way of like, they took it as like a challenge, I guess. They took it as like a I'm gonna just cut to the chase. Unfortunately, on my celibacy journey, I was raped. Um, I uh, was sexually harassed by one person in a way that was very traumatic to my psyche. I was sexually assaulted by someone that I really, really, really trusted and admired greatly. And by a separate person, I was raped. I was raped. I'm going to start with the hardest one because I really think I need to just let this out. Um, Fuck, bro. Fuck. I ain't taking shit out. I ain't taking shit out. I ain't taking shit out. Um, if I cry, I fucking cry. And I'm allowed to cry. Um, so, uh, story time. I There was this girl that was a supporter of my music, and we would back and forth during my celibacy journey a few times in ways that were, you know, mostly wholesome. It would be like, oh my gosh, I really like this song, or oh my gosh, like your energy is so bright and it's so, you know, it'd be very wholesome conversations that eventually led to me one day meeting up with this girl. I had pure intentions in my heart because she happened to be local in my area. I had pure intentions in my heart to start a friendship because me and her just started to text more and more. It wasn't in a way that felt as though it was leading into a relationship or some kind of talking stage or anything at all. It felt to me, at least, like a pure, wholesome male to female friendship that was starting that happened to also, this girl happened to also be a fan and supporter of my art. We met up. We met up once, and it was all we met on the first time we met up. Everything was fine. Everything was cool. I forgot what we did the first. Oh yeah, when we first hung out, I was going through it. I was having a pretty rough night, and I impulsively was like, "Hey, do you want to hang out tonight? I could really use someone to talk to." And we hung out, and it helped me feel better. I wasn't necessarily upset. I was just really angry about something that happened that day. And I just wanted to re-regulate my nervous system. And hanging out with this girl and laughing and having fun and listening to music in my car. That's all we did is we hung out in my car. Hanging out, listening to music, vibing, laughing, talking about deep shit, stupid shit, funny shit, whatever. It did help me that first time we hung out to just re-regulate my nervous system. And it was like, it also just, two birds, one stone. I was like, wow, this girl that I, was talking back and forth with every so often online, this like, kind of acquaintance that I had online, I was like, wow, like this is, now that we've hung out, I could really see a friend in this person. And the first time was lit. The first time was cool. No weird vibes. No flirtations. No. Nothing that made me uncomfortable. I felt safe in a way that unfortunately I think I was naive in. Because I think it was the second time we hung out, I went to a party with her. Um, yeah, I went to this party with her. I don't remember what day it was, but we went out and we had fun. We were turning up, we were listening to music. I was sober, she was sober, to my knowledge. She didn't drink or anything with me while I was there. Maybe she did before, I don't know. I was sober, to my knowledge, she was sober, and we were having a good time. We were just dancing at the club, vibing, turning up, doing our thing. The theme of the party was like a 2016 night, and it was, just a night where they were playing a bunch of 2016 ass music, and it was fun, and it was turnt. No vibes were weird, but notably, people at the function assumed that she was my girl and assumed that we were like together. And I just kept kindly being like, no, 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 that's just my friend. And she would see that I would say that and be like, she didn't seem adverse to it. She was like, yeah, no, no, it's not like that. Even that night, I was catching ass like one does at the club. She was catching separate ass. I, in my eyes, thought it was very apparent that me and her were not like that. Fast forward, the party finishes, and it's like a snowstorm that night. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it was like a fucking blizzard outside. So we sit in my car. I'm waiting for it to heat up. I'm cold as shit. We're kind of debriefing about the function. I'm like, yeah, bro, I can't hear I can't hear anything. My fucking like ears sound, like everything sounds quiet because like the music at the club was all loud. My fucking voice is lost. We're just like laughing and kind of reflecting on the night while my car was warming up. And in the car, out of nowhere, she threw this lob out there of, I don't remember how it got brought up, but she was like, would you ever have sex with me? And I was like, no, because I'm practicing my celibacy. And I, like, very publicly was seen as the person that's practicing celibacy. So, at least in my area, like, niggas knew that was my thing. So I was like, no, I'm practicing celibacy. Where the fuck did this come from? I think out of nerves, but also maybe a part of it was a little bit of like a lustful desire that came out. I said no and followed it with maybe one day. I don't know if I was just nervous, so that came out, or if, as a recovering sex addict, that was something that crept its way through. But I know confidently that I said no. I wouldn't do that with you. I don't want that with you. I'm practicing celibacy and I want to honor that. But maybe one day. Fast forward. I'm driving through this blizzard looking thing. The roads are sleek as fuck. I'm slipping on the ice and shit. I'm driving super slow, trying to drive safely. And the idea comes up because I was supposed to drop her off. I think she caught an Uber to my crib to go to this function. But the idea was, yeah, if you catch an Uber to me, I got you after. Like, I'll drop you off after. She lived up north, and I lived kind of south where the club happened to also be. I didn't live that far from the club. So it was my idea of, you know what? To this girl, I was like, do you want to just stay at my crib for the night? I know we don't know each other that well. I promise I'm not like on no weird timing. I promise it's going to be like just straight pure vibes. But because it's a fucking blizzard outside and I personally feel unsafe driving up north to drop you off, And I also don't want to just like have you call another Uber, because the weather was fucking insane. It was like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. It was like a fucking blizzard, like for real. I was like, if you're comfortable with it, you can stay at my crib like overnight, and then I could drop you off in the morning before I go to work. And she said, yeah, she was down. I purely meant nothing weird out of it, and I very, very firmly stated it in that way. Not even really in a way that I was trying to be like defensive to myself or like look out for myself, because in my eyes, unfortunately, I was being naive. I was like, no one would ever do that to a guy, and surely not me. I don't think anyone would ever do that to me. That's what everyone always thinks. No one ever thinks that it's gonna be them. But I digress. I very firmly said that it's not like that, because as a lady, I was trying to step forward through empathy and through love and be like, I can imagine that as a lady, this is probably like a weird ask or like an uncomfortable, you know what I mean? Like this random guy, you're being offered to sleep over at his crib. I understand that this could be uncomfortable. And if you don't want that to be the option, I said, I will drive you. I will drop you off. But I'm like, communication moment, I feel highly uncomfortable doing so. If you're willing and able, you can sleep over at my crib. If absolutely not, I understand. I'll just drop you off. She decides, that's fine. Yeah, I totally get that. She said something along the lines of like, yeah, no, like, I know your character, and I know you wouldn't do anything weird. So yeah, I'm fully comfortable with sleeping over at your crib if you're okay with that. So we pull up to my crib. I had work the next day, so I tell her, hey, just so you know, like, you're sleeping over at the crib, but I don't really have it in me to like hang out anymore after this function. So when we get to my crib, I'm gonna just brush my teeth, wash my face, do my little night routine, and go to sleep if you're okay with that. And we can hang out another day where I don't have work right after the next day. And she said that she was okay with that. So I'm brushing my teeth, I'm getting ready for bed, and I'm exhausted after this fucking function. Because I was turned in a bitch. Sober, but I was turned in a bitch. I think during this time I might have been like 7 months deep on celibacy or something like that. Nonetheless, I was exhausted, and she knew that because I told her I really need to get sleep for work tomorrow. I'm beat. So I lived in a 2-bedroom townhouse at the time. My roommate was sleeping in his room. I also had another roommate that was sleeping in my living room, the rapper Tsukiyomi. Shout out to my nigga. Shout out to my bro. He was sleeping in our living room at the time. So there was not really a place for this girl to sleep in, like, privacy. So I offered, again, with reassurance. I was like, yo, I know this is even more ask, but if you're comfortable, you can sleep in my room. And we can either do it, I remember giving the option. We can either do it where you're sleeping on my bed, and I'm sleeping on the floor. I'm totally fine with sleeping on like a little like makeshift bed on the floor. Or if you're more comfortable, I could sleep on my bed. I could give you the little makeshift bed on the floor if that's more your speed. Or if you are comfortable, I'm okay if we both sleep in my bed. It's a queen size bed, so it's pretty big, and I'm a little guy. She was a more petite lady as well. So I was like, we can sleep in my bed too. Either one of those 3 options I'm okay with, because I understand you're probably not going to want to sleep down in the living room where my roommate is that you don't know. You're probably also not, my other roommate that has the other room right next to me, he wouldn't be comfortable with you sleeping in there, and I know you wouldn't be comfortable sleeping next to another stranger, of course, again, yeah, him. But I was like, least uncomfortable of the 3 scenarios. If you'd like, you could sleep in my room. Nonetheless, I offered all those, and she said, yeah, I'm totally fine with sleeping in your bed. Again, reaffirming, I know your character, Moses. Like, I know you wouldn't do anything like that, so I'm okay with it as long as you're okay with it. So I brush my teeth, I do my night routine, and I lay the fuck down to go to bed. We talk a little bit. We banter like just a little bit, but I'm dead ass tired as fuck. So I go to sleep immediately, chat. I lay down. I'm in my sleep position. I'm clocked the fuck out, bro. Like, I think we might have been in my crib for like 10 minutes maybe before I like, you know, it was fast. It was a fast process. We came in the crib, maybe 10 minutes passes of me doing my night routine. I'm immediately fucking laid down, ready to knock out. I get to maybe like 90% sleep. I'm in that state where if someone were to interrupt me out of my sleep, I'd be like super wonky because I'm like dead ass right on the cusp of being fully unconscious. Like, no thoughts are going in my brain at the time. I'm laying down and I'm like, I'm not fully asleep, but I'm not awake enough to be fully responsive if someone were to like ask me a question or like shake me up. I'd be like, I'd open my eyes with like that energy of like disoriented as fuck. That's how like close to being fully unconscious I was. Thank God I wasn't fully unconscious. But I'm like 90% unconscious. I'm laying down. It takes maybe 5 to 10 more minutes for me to get to that point that I'm talking about of being like 90% unconscious. And we're laying, of course, on opposite ends of the bed. We're not like cuddled up at all. I'm sleeping on one end, she's sleeping on the other end. There's a gap between us. In my 90% fucking conscious state, sorry, there's someone walking past. I don't know if you can see him. Yeah, you can't see him. In my fucking state, I remember fuck, bro. This is gonna sound OD, but this is genuinely how it played out. Again, final trigger warning, because now it's about to get serious as fuck. I'm like 90% unconscious, and what happens is she gets on top. Okay, no. She puts her hands. Okay, I'm 90% unconscious, and the way I sleep is I always sleep with my hand in my pants. I don't know why. It's like a comfort thing. I know a lot of people, other people do it too, but I happen to be one of those people. I sleep with my hand in my pants. So I usually sleep with one hand in my pants, and then I have the other hand like laid up like this. I'm sleeping with my hand in my pants. I'm 90% unconscious, and she, out of nowhere, I feel that she puts her hand in my pants on top of my hand that's also in my pants. So my hand is in there, and I just out of nowhere feel her hand go in my pants, like under the underwear, where my hand is like over my fucking cock, like over my fucking dick. And again, I'm 90% unconscious, so I am conscious enough to feel her put her hand there, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, a part of my brain is like, what the fuck is happening right now? But again, I'm disoriented as fuck. I'm like, yo, am I like dreaming right now? Am I like in like this weird like sleep paralysis moment? Like, what the fuck is this? It happens so fast. But she puts her hand there and immediately crawls on top of me, on top of my lap. She's now fully up on top of my lap. She pulls her hand back out and she's up on top of my lap. Immediately pulls her like her I think she had shorts on and drawers both off. I'm not seeing this happen because I'm like I'm literally laid down just like disoriented, but I feel this happen. I feel her take this off. I feel my pants go down, and by the time my pants are down is when I open my eyes, and I'm like frozen in saying anything. I couldn't say anything. I sat there, or I laid there, and watched her pull my pants down at this point, and my underwear, and my body is responding. I haven't felt this kind of touch in like, yeah, like 7 months at this point. So my mind is completely disoriented and my body is like, what the fuck? Oh my god, it's a girl on top of us. So um my she puts it in, bro. She puts it in to her. And it at this point I'm inside of her. And now my eyes are fully open and the disorientation is gone. I'm fully awake and alert now. My heart is pumping. And I'm like frozen. And this is so fucking disturbing. She wasn't wet down there. I don't know why. But she's forcing herself. She's forcing it in. And it's like friction hard as fuck. In a way that was so confusing. I remember thinking now that I'm conscious. I was like, in my head, like, what the fuck is going on right now? And she's forcing it in. It didn't just slide in. She's forcing it in until it's fully in. She's pulling it out. You know, she's in the position of she's on top of me. And she's pulling it out and going back down again. And that's when I grab her hip. I grab her hip and I start to pull her off of me. I still haven't said anything at this point. But I grab her hips and I'm like, and I kind of like pull my hips. I thrust my hips back away from her. So I'm grabbing her, right? I'm like laid up like this. I'm grabbing her and I'm pulling myself out while trying to pull her off. And she pushes and resists. I'm being gentle because I'm like, this is a lady. Let's not be like rough on, like, you know what I mean? I'm gently trying to like pull her off until she resists that and forces it back in. Forces it back in. A second time. And that's when fight or flight, I was like, yo, I don't give a fuck that this is a girl. We're not being gentle anymore. I didn't say yes to this. I was asleep, basically. So now I firmly grab her, pull her off, pull my hip out, and I like toss her over to the other side of me. Because I'm laying on one end of the bed. I toss her to the other side of the bed. And I sit there and I look at my ceiling and I'm like, again, frozen. I don't know what was going on in her brain, but she comes up to me and starts like cuddling me. I'm literally sitting like this, like my arms are tucked in because I'm in like fetal, like fight or flight. I don't feel safe at all. And she comes up and like starts like cuddling on she lays her head on my chest and starts like cuddling up against me, puts her leg over mine. And is basically like, Moses, you don't think like what's wrong? What's happening? And at this point, I'm shaking. So I'm laying there and I'm shaking profusely, bro. I'm literally like, I'm not crying yet. I don't even have it in me to cry, but I'm shaking, terrified of what the fuck is happening right now. And she's cuddled up on me and she's like, Moses, what's wrong? What's wrong? You gotta talk to me. Are you okay? Talk to me. Like, I can't help you unless you say something. And in my head, I'm like, are we gonna act like, what, like, I'm so confused. Why are you acting like you didn't just do that? After a while of being like, Moses, what's wrong? She pauses while trying to be cuddled up on me. I didn't have it in me to push her off. I'm sitting there shaking. And this is disturbing, and I'm going to recreate it a little bit, but I'm vocally calling out for my mom at this time. I'm shaking, and I remember mouthing and it's not very coherent, but I remember being like, mom, like, vulnerable as fuck. Makes her pause, and she goes, wait, you don't, no, you don't think, I promise you it wasn't what it looks like. And, like, you don't think I, like, was taking advantage of you, do you? Moses, I would never do something like that to you. And starts basically saying shit like that. And it's like, Moses, I thought you wanted that. Moses, like, no, we gotta talk about this. Like, this wasn't that. I promise you this wasn't that. This isn't what you think it is. If that's what is upsetting you, I promise it isn't that. And I can reassure you right now, you just gotta talk to me. We gotta talk about this. I'm still shaking there. And I'm like, so angry in my head right now. Like, what the fuck are you saying? Not only did you just rape me, but what the fuck are you saying? This is probably in my head, I remember thinking, this is the worst thing you could possibly say right now. What? At this point, I have like 3-4 hours till I have to leave to go to work. She eventually gives up. I wasn't saying anything. I didn't even have it in me to move. I'm still in this position. She ends up falling asleep next to me. For the next 3 to 4 hours, I remember fighting the fucking resistance of, like, paralyzation to lift my arm for genuinely 3 to 4 fucking hours. I'm moving my arm little by little to grab my phone, and my intention was to call for my friend. I needed to call my friend to come over. I didn't think to call the police. I didn't again, it's a blizzard outside. I didn't think to kick this girl out. It's a blizzard outside. All I could think of in the moment was to call this friend that I'm really close with. And I spent the whole night moving my arm to grab the phone and click the password. And I remember my phone being open to the screen where you see all the apps, and I could not call her, bro. I could not call anyone. The only friend I thought to call of at the time, I knew she'd be up because she's like a night owl and she'd usually be up around that time. And I couldn't fix my fucking fingers to call her, bro. And eventually, I promise you, it was that slow. Like, I'm that slowly moving my shit. And my phone is just sitting there on at the screen where you see all the apps until my alarm goes off to, like, get up and get ready for work. My alarm goes off and that wakes her up. I immediately shift into, like, autopilot. I now fully move and start putting my clothes on and start getting ready for work. And she's waking up, rubbing her eyes and shit. And she's like, Moses, I know you have to go to work, but we gotta talk about last night before you go. You can't do this to me. This isn't gonna work unless you talk. Like, it's like she was like saying it in a way like I owed that to her. Like I did something wrong and I needed to talk. Like she was like, you can't be giving me the silent treatment right now. We need to talk about this. And I was like, dog. I didn't say anything other than now I finally uttered while getting ready. I just said, I need to get ready for work. I need to get ready for work. I need to get ready for work. I remember I kept saying that. That's the only things I could say. I walk her to my car. I drop her off real quick to her house. And she, again, the whole time is insistently like, we need to talk about last night. Please. I know you're about to go to work. Please at least like call me or text me or something after work. We need to talk about this. And the only things I could mutter was, I need to go to work. She reaches in for a hug before she leaves to go to her house. And I say, and I remember driving to work. I had no sleep. The whole night I spent reaching for my phone and trying to fight to call my friend for some kind of help. Work was a blur. I don't remember anything at work. I remember drinking my energy drink, fully autopilot doing my job, and the darkest thought in my fucking head was like, dog, I still have her on me. Without being vulgar, I was like, I still have her on me, bro. I didn't even get the time to clean her off of me, bro. And my whole work shift, I was thinking that. It's the only thing I consciously remember thinking while being on autopilot and still doing my work tasks. Holy shit. I remember, though, getting home, and the immediate thing I did, I saw my roommate in the living room. He was like, what's up, twin? I didn't say anything. I immediately went to the shower. I immediately undressed, showered for a long time, and I fucking bawled my eyes out, bro. Real shit. Real shit. And that was that. She reached out to me through text and kept trying to ask to talk. And I finally, eventually responded and said, like, hey, you raped me. Like, you raped me. Of course I don't want to talk. And she's like, texting me back, hold on, I didn't fucking rape you. Don't you? No. You can't just say that. What the fuck? We need to talk right now. Moses, call me. So she starts spamming calling me, and she starts texting in all caps. And she's like, no. Moses, you need to call me right now. I didn't fucking rape you. Spam calling me. I block her. I don't usually block people, but I blocked her. And that was that. Another situation where I got sexually assaulted, I was with a friend that I very deeply admired and trusted, and unfortunately I let the lust stuff get to me. And let's just say niggas got into that bag, I guess, of like kissing and all that stuff. It's a girlfriend of mine that I deeply trusted and admired. Kissing and shit was happening, and then I remember being like, hey, I don't want to do anything with you unless, like, we're, like, falling in love right now, basically. And the assault came into the fact that she lied to me and said, like, yeah, this is that. Like, this isn't no lust hookup weird shit. Like, bro, I fuck with you, bro. Like, this is, yeah. And then afterwards, ghosting me, basically. And that's why that one was assault, was because I consented under the notion of, like, I'm only down to do any. We didn't have sex, but we did a lot of other stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm only down to do anything if we're working towards, like, a relationship or something. And then she said, yes, that's what we're doing. And then lied and ghosted me after. The sexual harassment one, I don't even want to get into like that, other than just saying on a separate occasion from a separate girl, they were just constantly shooting their shot towards sex, and I constantly was saying, no, no, no. Like, bro, I'm celibate. Like, I'm not interested in any of that. And she was just insistent. During my celibacy journey, through all the great things that happened, unfortunately, there is a dark and fucked up stain on the experience, because I got sexually harassed pretty bad by this one girl, sexually assaulted by a close friend of mine at the time that I really trusted and admired, and by a separate person was fully raped. And that's why it's been very hard for me to make this video of the celibacy update, because I had a lot of good things to say, for sure, but I knew I could not make a video without saying that story of what happened. That was really fucking hard to say. I love this experience that I had of practicing celibacy, and I'm going to continue to practice my celibacy, no longer even for the goal of, like, self-improvement per se. I just like the experience of not being in hookup culture. I only want to do anything sexually with people that are people that I actually deeply trust, and that it's working towards either a relationship or it just has to be like some serious shit for me to want to do that. And until that is presented, until I'm either in a very happy, loving relationship, or I'm with a very, 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 very close friend or something, I guess, that I don't know, that those cards are out on the table for. Until that happens, I plan to remain celibate. I didn't intend on that to be the case, but after getting raped, I don't care to censor it. After getting fucking raped, my mind is just not on that stuff at all. And it's very unfair how she tainted not only my, like, experience of celibacy and stuff, but also tainted my look on sex in general. I know that not all women didn't take my celibacy serious. There was a lot of supporting women that was like, oh my gosh, good shit, King. Like, not a lot of guys do shit like that. Like, props to you, kudos to you. But those three happen to be the bad apples, the bad examples of, damn, bro. I'm sure some women can relate too, though, of that may have practiced celibacy or may end up practicing celibacy. A lot of people don't take that shit serious, bro. At this age, a lot of people are like, I don't know, they see it as like this quirky, like, I can change that. I bet I can get you to fold. That is one. Okay, now that I remember, That is one of the things that my rapist said when we were out in the car after the function that we went to, after the party, with her saying, "Would you ever have sex with me?" When I said no, like I'm celibate, maybe one day, she said like, "Really? Like you like you're sure you wouldn't fold?" And it was such a weird thing to say. And that should have been my real like red flag of like, what the fuck? You asked if I'd have sex with you, and then I said no, and then she responded, "Are you sure? Like you really think you could say no?" Is what she said. "You really think you could say no? Like dead ass?" In my eyes, probably out of fight or flight, and like nervousness, I was like, like she's joking. But yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. And during this whole thing, I've been working on an album. That has been one of the greatest fruits that I've been reaping through celibacy, is that I've been able to put this energy towards creating an album called Pre-Soon that is coming very soon. And I'm very grateful for my friends that were there for me when this happened and I eventually told them. I am very grateful to the supporters and the fans that when I posted it on Instagram reached out and offered condolences and offered so much love and gratitude, or not gratitude, I don't know, just kindness. I am very relieved to finally tell the story. I didn't leave out any details. I didn't. Yeah. Yeah. I don't consider this girl a body at all. I don't consider her someone that broke my celibacy. But she definitely stole something so innocent in me that I unfortunately now just have to reclaim within myself. Because holy shit. Yeah, man. A lot of lessons were learned through this. And I know I didn't deserve it. Please take males serious when they say no. There's a culture of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and rape where males are often not taken serious with that. And when a guy says no, it's like a challenge of like, oh really? You sure you're gonna say no? Is it really no? Will this change your mind? And then they, I bet I could change your mind. Please take it serious when any PSA, yeah. PSA, take it serious when anyone says no to a sexual advancement. And especially guys, only because I feel that often the guy lens isn't taken serious because people assume all guys just want that. I remember posting it and there was a few guys that were like, guys could get raped? You didn't like that? We need to cut that shit out, bro. Everyone deserves self-agency and autonomy within themselves to say no to something like that. The truth is, yeah, I told this girl no, and she took advantage of me while I was almost unconscious. Like, if I was unconscious, it definitely probably would have woke me up because it hurt. I remember it hurting because, again, she wasn't lubricated down there at all. which brings like this disturbing thought of like, was she even into this? I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm going to move forward with love regardless. And although this happened to me, it's not going to stop me from loving the world and loving women and loving sex and loving people. I'm aware that she, along with the two others that were involved with the assault and the harassment, I'm aware that these were people that encountered very, very much some kind of dark ass pain and hurt within them that led them to make the lack of judgment to do something so fucking bad. I'm aware that something in them was hurt and in pain that led them to make such a terrible and hurtful decision upon me. I have already forgiven all of them. They don't know this. Maybe one day one of them will see this, but I have forgiven all of them already. It's been a while since this happened, but I've forgiven all of them, not for their sake, not out of this like lens of empathy, even though I do have empathy for them, but for myself, because my tattoo says it. I am love, bruh. And that's one of my biggest core values of life, is I want to be someone that's loving and kind and pure. And moving forward, I will be a lot smarter on who I let into my life like that, and especially let into my house, let alone my room. I now know to move smarter going forward, not in a hateful way towards others, but in a loving way towards myself. I love myself too much to ever allow myself to like be in a position like that, I guess. There was red flags that I could have prevented. Wrong things can happen that I can't prevent, but there was red flags that I could have prevented. And I know it's not my fault I didn't prevent them, but for the future, now I know how to prevent them as best as I can. So, if you made it this far, genuinely thank you. I love you a lot. I love humanity a lot. I love a lot. And that's never gonna stop. Thank you. What a fucking weight off my chest. Holy shit. I don't know if this video is going to make a lot of sense, because it's like a fusion of Celibacy Day 365 update. But also, yeah, the other stuff. I recommend everyone practices celibacy for a certain period of their life. It changed my life. It is the greatest thing I've ever done for myself. Ever. And the benefits are so beautiful. These things did not happen because I was celibate. These things were just a byproduct of a fucked up narrative that society needs to fix. And it happened to be poorly timed that it was during my celibacy journey. And yeah. That's all I have to say. Again, I love you. Pre-soon, the album is coming soon. I will always love through this. And through anything. I will always love through anything and everything, because I really care about shit like that. And yeah. take no serious. Take no's seriously. You can really, really hurt people so bad if you don't. I'm not healed from this. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to heal from this. I give myself a shit ton of grace. And that's all I got to say. Thank you for listening. See you guys soon through the album and all that other cool shit that's coming soon. Yeah.